Grand Rising friends. I'm taking advantage of one of the last few warm, decent mornings before winter here in North Idaho. And this morning I am working on swapping out the plug on this 50 amp RV cable for one of the tiny houses here on the property. So yeah, tag along with me today as I tackle some projects, and this is the first one. The first thing I made sure to do before even starting was measure to make sure that the length of the cord that we have is adequate for the space that we're needing to cover. So just crawled underneath one of the tiny houses and accomplished that, made sure there's plenty of slack there. And I'm going to start by taking this cord and cutting it right at the end here to save as much material as possible and to not take away from our length of available cable. So get started with that. Now this is 6-gauge wire that I'm working with, possibly 8-gauge, and some dull knives. So definitely should have swapped my blade out this morning, or made sure I had a blade to swap it out with to make this go a little bit faster and easier, but we'll make do with what we got. Perfect. So now that we've got this old plug that does not fit um, the tiny house receptacle, it has this grounding stake, and also I think that was it. I think the grounding stake is what's preventing it from working in the tiny house receptacle. So got this guy, comes with this I assume weatherproofing boot. And then this guy, we're gonna take him apart and get to the internal components so that then I can splice these wires and attach it to the new plug. Easy peasy. So now I'm going to prep our new plug for installation. I'm going to cut the hole for this a little bit bigger to accommodate the size of our cable. Again, 6-gauge. So just trim this open a little bit more than it is. Nothing crazy. So now that our opening is bigger, we're going to feed it through the boot, like so, and move it down just to give us some room to work with and length on the cable. We're also going to put this exterior shell on, get that all prepped so that we can get that guy hooked up. So now I'm going to take our new plug and kind of eyeball and measure about where the cables are going to be in the new receptacle and still have some room, because we want this lower bracket down here to grab onto this outer sheath of the cable and not be the inner wires. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this, make kind of a little mark here to kind of start. Got my little helper mountain here. Hi, baby. Hi, what you doing? You helping me work? So now I'm going to work on getting this outer layer of the cabling cut back so we can expose the wires and then get those stripped down and ready for the receptacle. So, outer sheath off. We've got our 4 wires on the inside here. I'm going to get those stripped back and prepped for going in to the receptacle, which super nice. These are all color marked, so really can't mess this up. We've got our white, turquoise, black, and red. So yeah, those will just be getting put into the corresponding colors. And I do have my wire strippers out, but the largest that they go to is 10 gauge. And so, yeah, I'm just going to kind of do it old school and use my box cutter knife. All right, we've got our sheath on our cables all stripped back on all of these. I am going to take a little pair of trimmers and get these all trimmed up so that they're even on the ends. That just helps for better contact when we insert it into this receptacle. All right, so these are all trimmed up and looking good. Flathead. So gonna take these screws on the side, which tighten down and clamp the cables on the inside. I'm gonna get them all the way loose and prepped to make it easier for when I insert these cables. And there's really no right or wrong way as far as other than just putting the right color where it needs to go. But other than that, whether you do them one at a time or all at the same time, it's kind of preference. I've already done one of these and found that trying to get them all inserted at the same time, it's a pain, but it's what I found the best way to do it. So I'm going to attempt that again today and see how it fares. Got all my little helpers here today. Ozzy's out here roaming around somewhere. So I'm just tightening these down one at a time as I get them kind of situated in a little bit better placement than I had them. So it's just kind of a slow, tedious process. You gotta stay patient with it. Especially working with wire that is this size and this gauge. It's not super malleable. So yeah, just kind of slowly working it. And I think I'm gonna have to fix 2 of these because I don't like how they're seating. All right. Whew. Took me a little bit longer than I planned, but I'm happy with how these are all seated. Hi, baby. And yeah, so triple checked. We've got white and white, turquoise and turquoise, black and black, red and red. We've got enough sheathing that we've got our clamp at the bottom here going around that for a nice tight seal. I'm going to work on tightening down these screws, and then we'll start working on putting all the housings back together, and we are almost done. So now that we're at this point, this is exactly why we wanted to feed both the weatherproof housing and this other guy on, because with this already installed, there's no way to get these on. So you kind of have to think ahead and work in reverse a little bit with that. Don't worry, you will probably forget that the first time around, as I did. It's a very, very common thing. I'm trying to get these screws lined up. There we go. Okay. So definitely want to make sure you don't miss that step, because otherwise you're going to be undoing a lot of work. And once you get those wires threaded into this receptacle or any receptacle, it's a process. It's a very slow and patient process. So, yeah, it just sucks to have to undo any of the work that you've already done. So, get these screws tightened down, and we are going to be off to the races. Huh, Mountain? This is Mountain, by the way. She is one of the mouser cats on the property. She earns her keep by hunting mice and little varmints. Well, hi, Ozzy. Okay, so double check our work. Yeah, the guy's not going anywhere. Get our weatherproof housing nice and tight. Make sure that it's also tight down here. And there we have it. Simple as that. Definitely is a little bit of a tedious process, but it's super, super easy, simple. Just gotta stay patient with it, especially when you're working with 6-gauge wire. But yeah, now we've got our, this one was a 75-foot, 50 amp plug for a tiny house that we're utilizing here on the property. And yeah, we're all good to go. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next project.